Hello everyone, Vincent here. VSL has a lot of percussion libraries, 11 to be exact. So which one do you start with? No worries. By the end of this video, you will know exactly where you fit, whatever your music and whatever your budget. Let's go through them one by one. First up, small percussion. And it's completely free. It's a generous little toolkit. Tambourine, wood blocks, castanet, claves, shakers, triangle, finger cymbals, and more. All laid out across the keyboard, so you never have to switch a thing. Just play, that's all. This sound comes straight from the big studio percussion library. We'll get there later in this video. So it's a nice way to get to know the VSL sound without spending a cent. Next, Synchron Prime Percussion, the essentials. It's part of the Synchron Prime Orchestra and the idea is simple. The most common instruments and the most useful articulations. You get timpani, glockenspiel, xylophone, celesta, tubular bells, snare, bass drums, toms, cymbals, tam-tam, and even a 53-inch Odaico taiko for when you want some serious weight. You also get some hits and rolls ready to go. If you want one well-rounded percussion section without overthinking it, this is your starting point. And now the flagship Synchron Percussion. This is where VSL goes all in, with a huge collection sampled very deeply, plus many articulations, different beaters, and round robins. Synchron Percussion comes in 3 volumes. Don't think of them as 3 rival products. Think of them as the 3 chapters of the same story. Let me explain. Volume 1 is the essentials: timpani, drums, cymbals, tam-tam, glockenspiel, xylophone, celesta. The bread and butter of every orchestra and your starting point. Volume 2 adds the colors. Instruments you hear all over modern film and game scores, like the vibraphone and taiko drums, between others. Volume 3 brings the rhythms. A big helping of Latin percussion, plus powerful drum ensembles with ready-to-use riffs and patterns. Each volume is split into the same 6 families: timpani, drums, cymbals and gongs, mallets, bells, and orchestral percussion. So if you don't need everything, you just pick the families you want. Remember those big drum ensembles and riffs in Synchron Percussion Volume 3? They were originally recorded for our BBO series, Big Bang Orchestra, and they live on in Big Bang Orchestra Percussion. This one is all about maximum impact. Up to 6 players performing together on the Synchron stage. With patterns, you can just drop straight into a cue. If you want big cinematic percussion, and if you want it quickly, then Big Bang Orchestra Percussion is a good place to begin. Now for the specialists. Yes, the specialists. First, Synchron Power Drums. The idea is simple, and I'm asking you the question: what's better than a great drum kit in a great hall? Well, 3 great drum kits in a great hall. VSL recorded 3 classic drum sets playing together. You can use them solo, locked in sync, or fully independent. Plus around 3,500 free MIDI grooves to get you going. If your music needs a real punchy room drum kit, this is the one. Ever heard of a Ricorico, a Sabar, or an Agare? Don't worry, neither had I. VSL went far beyond the conventional orchestra to capture percussion from West Africa, Middle East, and from Brazil. Some of these instruments sampled for the very first time. Also sampled by the same musicians coming from the same countries and cultures. And you don't need to be an expert. Every instrument comes with MIDI grooves, so you can add an authentic rhythm or a little color to any production in seconds. Also, keep your ears peeled. I've heard that there's a Synchron World Percussion 2 in the works. Shh. Now we cross over the dry side of percussion, the Studio Series. Remember, I've mentioned it at the beginning of the video. These instruments were recorded in, I think, one of the most extraordinary recording facilities that ever existed on this planet, the Silent Stage. Just to give you an idea, you could have an helicopter flying just above the room, and you, inside the room, you just hear nothing. So these instruments were recorded dry, and a Synchron Stage A mix placement is enabled by default. So you start with your dry percussion recorded in the Silent Stage, but as if they were performed in the new Synchron Stage. But if you want the surgical dry sample to use with the reverb of your choice, you can disable the default reverb in one click. Studio Percussion is the dry counterpart to the big Synchron collection, split into the same 6 families. Of course, a lot of instruments overlap, new recordings of these instruments made in the Synchron Stage, but there are some gems unique to Studio. Altar boy bells, church bells, brake discs, I beg your pardon, a bull roarer, and an actual hammer. Yes, a hammer, hitting a wooden box, recorded specially for Gustav Mahler's music. Then there's Studio Elements, made with sound designers in mind. The theme is the 4 elements: water, metal, glass, and stone. You get the eerie waterphone, you know, that instrument that you're listening at the beginning of every Matrix movie. You get lithophones. Basically, if you can imagine, those are xylophones made of stone. And I just can't help myself to show you this little picture of VSL CEO Herb Zoutman-Doll with a lithophone back then when it was recorded in the Silent Stage. You also get a glass harmonica and a whole range of otherworldly textures. If you score sci-fi, horror, or anything that needs to sound a little unreal, this is where to look. And last, Studio Jazz Drums, the gentle, refined cousin of the power drums. All the subtle nuances a real jazz drummer brings, with a special focus on brushes, plus plenty of MIDI grooves so you can start swinging right away. Alright, 11 libraries, and now you've met them all. Just curious, start with the free small percussion. Want the essentials on a budget? Synchron Prime. Need the full orchestral arsenal? Synchron Percussion 1, then 2 and 3 when you're ready. After big cinematic impact, quickly, Big Bang Orchestra Percussion. Need a real drum kit, world rhythms or jazz brushes? Power drums, world percussion or jazz drums. Want total control over your sound and your room? Head to the Dry Studio Series. Whatever you choose, my advice is the same. Start small, grab that free small percussion library and build from there. I leave links to everyone below, plus my deeper walkthroughs if you want to go further. Thanks for watching, Vincent out, and as Paul would say, have a very nice day.